Hello everyone, this is Anna from Savvy Cat Realty, and today I'm here to talk to you about the latest political updates in Portugal and to let you know whether or not, as a foreigner considering to move to Portugal, you should be worried. So, for those of you who don't know, my name is Ana Caramujo. I am the owner of Savvy Cat Realty. Savvy Cat Realty is a relocation and investment agency that helps expats relocate to Portugal in a sustainable way. Our goal is to give as much information as possible to people so they can make informed purchase and smooth processes and end up in Portugal in a way that is good for them and good for the locals. We are a team of locals. We work with both rentals and purchases and also work from a lifestyle perspective, helping you figure out what's the best location according to your own lifestyle needs and budget. So if this makes sense to you, please do check out our services in www.savvycatrealty.com, where we have everything listed transparently. So into today's topic, the political updates in Portugal as of October 2025. So some of you probably heard that this weekend there was the municipal elections. The municipal elections elect the local town mayors and the parties that are going to have these mayors in power. And they took place this Sunday, the 12th of October, here in Portugal. And the results were somewhat expected and unexpected at the same time, because Portugal is known to have a very stable political scenario, and that both has its positives and its negatives, because there is a lot of complacency and a lot of just things staying the same in the bad way too. On the other hand, the government is very stable and everything is very safe, so it has its pros and cons. So what's been happening in Portugal as of the past 2 years or so is that our far-right party, Chega, has been gaining a significant amount of power, and that of course has worried a lot of people internationally. And what I have been saying is that this is a good thing in a way that the two parties that have been in power for the last over 50 years are very complacent, and honestly most people are not happy with them. They are also known to not be, well, to be kind of corrupt. And it was a good thing to shake things up and to make those two parties uncomfortable. And you did see the unhappiness of Portuguese people on the last presidential elections. Not presidential, sorry, the last governmental elections, in which Chega had a huge increase in power. But at the time I already said that this is a reflection of the discontent of the Portuguese people, but it's not necessarily a reflection of the values of the Portuguese people. And this municipal elections kind of confirmed what I was saying. So what happened was Chega did not at all have a good performance in these elections. They only won 3 town halls and about 10% of the votes. So this confirms what I've been saying, that basically, although Portuguese people are unhappy with the political situation and the complacency of the two main parties, they don't exactly want to be ruled or agree with the views of the far-right party Chega. And this is verified here, where Chega has only won 3 town halls and about 12% of the votes overall. And it shows you that actually very little people actually want to be ruled by this kind of ideals. So when I said things are kind of the same and kind of unexpected, it's because, like I said, as a Portuguese person that speaks to other Portuguese person, most of the people that I've talked to, including myself, are not exactly happy with the two main parties that I've been talking about so far. So that is PS and PSD that made a coalition that it's currently PPD. So I was surprised that they are still the vast winners of these elections. PS had 28.5% of the votes, and PSD had 10 plus another 13 because they have different coalitions. But in the end, they also had like 25% or a little bit less, like 24%, so to say, of the votes with their coalitions. And we only had like the CDU, which is another small party, actually managed to win 12 town halls, and there were 20 independent people taking power on town halls, which I find very positive, to be honest. So overall, these municipal elections results confirm that things in Portugal are not going to change anytime soon. Personally, as a Portuguese person, I'm a bit disappointed. I would like for other parties to be more present in the governance, as I also agree that the two main parties are very complacent and I don't particularly trust them, and that seems to be the opinion of a lot of Portuguese. So another interesting fact, or sad fact really, is that there were 40.75% of abstinence in this election. This is fairly common in Portugal. We usually have between 40 and 50% of abstinence, which is not great, of course. And I don't know how much things would change if this 40% of people actually voted. So we come down to 3,789,000 people that didn't vote, which is, like I said, 40.75% of the population. So this is the current scenario when it comes to elections, but I would also like to give some updates on the immigration and the international affecting policies that have been being discussed lately. When it comes to the municipal elections, things are not going to change in the next few months. The new mayors only take power in January 2026. So right now there is not going to be an immediate change. And then, like I said, when it comes to the international policies and the immigration policies that everyone has been worried about, I also mentioned in previous videos that the most worrying aspect of the new immigration law was the family reunification, in which they wanted to have a 2-year period to make family reunification, which was honestly unacceptable and unconstitutional. And as I said, it has been unapproved. It was brought down by the Constitutional Court as unconstitutional, and there's still not a final approval, but the latest update is that they are proposing that these 2 years, they don't apply to legally married spouses. The marriage does have to be recognized by the Portuguese state. So it has to be a marriage that falls under the Portuguese law too. And the persons have to be married and living together for at least a year in order to be able to apply for family reunification. But if you are legal spouses or minors or dependents like parents and so on, or adult dependents that are incapable of taking care of themselves, then the 2-year wait does not apply. They still want to apply a 2-year wait to adult children and relatives that are independent. So usually you can apply for family reunification. For example, if you are a married adult, you can apply for your parents and in-laws. But in this case, they would have to wait 2 years unless they were dependent on you, and that would, of course, need to be proved. And the same thing for adult children. I don't know if this is going to be approved, to be honest. Once again, it's very shady. I do think that the other changes they made to the law are very acceptable. So they are now requesting that you are able to prove that you are able to to provide good conditions for the family you are bringing. So you have the financial and the capacity to host your family. So you have to have, you know, an apartment that fits everyone that you're bringing, and also the financial capability to take care of them, which I do think makes perfect sense. In the end, what happens in practice is, because the Portuguese public services work terribly, the actual period for the application to get approved is often over a year anyway. But the practical thing is that they generally, the relatives come and they then just are waiting for the documentation and have the request submitted and so on, and are just waiting for the final paper. This can be a bit problematic when you leave the country, because then you have to prove that you have the application submitted and so on, and you can have some problems since you don't have the residence card yet. But this is fairly common because there is a huge amount of delays on the emission of resident cards in general. So they say that currently they are putting a deadline for 9 months in finishing processes of residency, both when it comes to family reunification and normal process applications. I also think this is a very good thing. I have no idea if they are actually going to comply with it. So that's a whole other thing, because in the end, what happens is there is not enough staff to deal with the amount of demand and the amount of applications these services are receiving. So they supposedly also opened some new public positions and so on, but as far as I know, they have not been completely filled. So I hope to see an improvement over the next year when it comes to the efficiency of services, but I'm not at all confident that they will comply with the deadlines they are setting. So we will see how things will go. And last minute update regarding the political situation and the immigration law in Portugal. So just yesterday, the 15th of October of 2025, our president had said that he would have verified the integration of the immigration law proposal with the Constitutional Court. However, today, the 16th of October of 2025, he has decided to approve the current legislation law, the current immigration law. So what does this mean? This means that one of the changes was regarding the Portuguese-speaking languages, and regarding the Portuguese-speaking languages, there was going to be proposed that the visa could be applied for in Portugal, while with a tourist visa, that is not going to happen. The applications will have to be done through the country of origin, which I do think it makes sense, as they don't want to create another situation similar to the manifestation of interest, in which people could just come and stay indefinitely to take care of things. So that's one of the changes. Another one of the changes is the one regarding the reunification, the family reunification. And this one, I am honestly not too sure it is fully constitutional yet. So the current proposal says that for even for married couples, and they do have to be married for over a year and a half, and the marriage needs to be recognized by the Portuguese law. But only if they have children, then the wait time is waived. If they have minor children, so for the minor child and the other parent, then the wait time is waived. for married couples that don't have children, there is still going to be a wait time of 15 months. And this is where I am not too sure if this isn't discriminatory, as, you know, not everyone has children, and the government should be judging your right to reunite with your family because of your children. So I am not very convinced with this particular proposal. The other changes to the proposal are fine. So you need to prove that you are able to sustain your family and that you have conditions to house them, which makes perfect sense. And do keep in mind that this change will not affect the majority of my clients. So the majority of my clients work with self-assistance visas, which means they come to Portugal proving that they are able to take care of themselves on the long term. And there are 3 visas that allow you to do this. It's the D7 visa that is currently known as the retirement visa, the D8 or D2 visa that would be the self-employment or entrepreneurship visas, or the golden visa, which does still exist, but just doesn't apply to real estate. So any of these visas, when you apply, you can apply through your household. So if you are married, you apply together with your spouse, and both of you will get your visas and residences. So this situation of the family reunification, it tended to be the most advantageous when one of the couple, one person in the couple had European nationality, because with European nationality you have free circulation of citizens and you are able to come to Portugal without any previous declaration and then just declare you are living here and submit the paperwork in your local town hall, and then your spouse could apply for family reunification to be reunited with you. So because there is now the situation on you may have to wait 15 months if you don't have children, this may no longer be the best approach for this kind of scenario. It may be better to get a visa for yourself or faster. So that's a scenario that will need to be studied on a case-by-case scenario. And like I said, I still am not particularly confident that this legislation will go through on the Constitutional Court. The feedback that I've read is that the Constitutional Court did consider that the exclusion or the separation on the visas that this kind of regulation would apply to would be constitutional. So in this case, golden visas, highly qualified employment, and they did make a definition that would be management, scientific teachers, and there is a list of employment positions that would apply for being considered as highly qualified positions. So if you are someone highly qualified that is coming to work in Portugal, the wait time to bring your family over is waived. Same thing applies to the golden visa, and it was not mentioned whether it applies to the D7, D2 and D8. So I'm guessing it doesn't. But like I said, those kinds of visas usually can apply as a unit, so as a family, or usually do keep in mind that for the family, the other members, it will need to either be the partner or dependent adult members or children under 18. So if they are adult and not dependent on you for any reason you can prove, they will have to have their own separate visas. So you can bring like parents or adult children if they are dependent on you only. So do keep that in mind too. So this law will be made public as of today, and it will be published today, and therefore I haven't been able to read the integrity of it yet. but it has been approved by the president, and we shall see what the next steps are. Another thing that is being discussed and is of the concern of a lot of foreigners is the housing tax benefits and possible housing tax changes that have been discussed. This is an open discussion. No official proposal or approval has been submitted yet. So at the moment is just completely theoretical. But what has been proposed, it's actually a bit controversial, because a lot of people are not, Portuguese people are not particularly happy about this particular proposal. So there was this interesting situation with one of our politicians, that he said that his modest rent of like 2,400 euros and that was normal for the Portuguese. It is not. The Portuguese average wage in Lisbon is 1,500 euros, and the average rent in Lisbon is 1,400 euros. So although there are a lot of houses that have rents over 2,000 euros, that is not a value that 90% of the Portuguese people are able to afford. So this is one of those situations where the government or the politicians are completely out of touch with reality. And now, because they don't want to admit that and backtrack, they are saying that they are going to lower the rental tax for rents up to 2,300 euros per month from the current, actually it's 29% to 10%. I do think that this reduction of rental tax would be very positive, but it needs to be managed in a completely different way. So it needs to be set by municipality, because the prices in municipalities are very different. So when we come to Lisbon, the prices are completely different than even Porto, that it's the second biggest city. And of course, if you go to a smaller city like Braga or Coimbra, then it's a completely different scenario. So there should be, each town hall should create a chart of what they consider accessible rents, and the rents that are within those values, let's say per square meter or per typology, that's an interval of what they consider acceptable, should have that rent reduction. And I think that could be a very positive measure, because there is actually a lot of people that try to not declare their rent because the rent taxes are ridiculous. So in the end, the state can actually end up making more money with this whole thing. So I don't think it would be a bad measure at all. So another thing that they are proposing is a capital gains relief. Landlords who sell a property and reinvest in rentals at a moderate rents may be able to avoid paying the IRS on capital gains. Once again, I do think this could be interesting, but under the same conditions as I mentioned before. Another one would be the AMI exemption. Properties rented for less than 2,300 a month may be exempt from additional municipal tax, even if the property value exceeds 600,000. Once again, I think this needs to be applied by municipality and not as a general rule, because the reality in Lisbon is completely different from the reality everywhere else. And incentives for construction, I think it's a great thing, because right now there are less things being built than demand and people coming over. They say they want to encourage housing and plan to reduce VAT for construction projects from 23 to 6. This incentive already exists for rehabilitation, but they would be making it a general rule for homes priced up to 648,000. I have no idea how they reach this number. Once again, I don't think this should make a general rule, but should be set up by municipality, because the reality of the values of property are very different in different locations. They also say they are going to propose measures to limit demand, and this is one that is concerning and a lot of people are getting worried about, because this measure is that they want to charge a higher EMT for non-residents. EMT, the property transaction tax, that is the probably the highest tax you pay when you buy property. Spain also tried to implement this rule. I don't remember if they were successful or not, because it's kind of considered discriminatory and may not be considered valid under the rules of the European Union. So it once again may not go through a constitutional court. So we shall see how this would go. They also do not specify how much this increase would be, but they do say that immigrants, meaning people that have their residence and permission of residence, would not face this increase in the tax. So overall, these are the changes and the proposals that are happening right now. Like I said, most of them, or 90% of them, are actually not approved at all. So at the moment, this is all speculation. And I do think most of them are positive, and the ones that aren't positive are actually unlikely to be approved because they are considered unconstitutional. So I'm not too concerned for things overall. So I hope that this update was helpful, and I would love to hear your feedback and thoughts on the political situation and on these proposals that are currently being discussed. And we are here every week with information about Portugal. We work with both rentals and purchases, and we can check all the information about our services in our website, www.savvycatrealty.com, or just reach out to us directly at contact@savvycatrealty.com. Once again, I hope this was useful. We are here every week with useful information about Portugal and living in Portugal. And if you like it, please do subscribe to our channel. See you all again next week. Bye.